Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Wade Fission 9. So if you guys didn't know, the Fission 8 was the only shoe I didn't like from Wade last year, right? So they had the Son of Flash, which was amazing. The 8082, 8083 is amazing. The actual Wild 10 Low is amazing. The All City 12, All City 11 is amazing as well. So the Fission 8 I didn't like because first of all, the traction did slip out, you know, and also the cushion was not great. So the Fission 9, did they improve upon that? We'll have to see. But yeah, this shoe retails for 120 bucks, which is really cheap for Way of Wade, and 120 bucks is pretty much budget, you know what I mean? And they're giving us really good tech. But again, if you guys do want to cop it, try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. If you do want to cop the shoe, it does help me out if you do use the affiliate link. So thank you guys for all the support as always. But let's get started right off with the tractions. We have kind of like a wiper blade traction pattern. It kind of looks like an arthropod. Look at this in the forefoot, right? Is that what it's called, an arthropod? Like those shoe crab things, you know what I mean? I don't know why it does, but it kind of reminds you of that with the legs a little bit. But we have kind of like a lightning bolt pattern here, and we got like kind of just really thin lines, you know what I mean? And the same thing here in the heel. So how is the traction? Oh my goodness, guys! If you're playing on a clean court, the bite is instant, you know what I mean? Especially if you're doing lateral movements, right? One thing that I did notice though, if I'm going forward, it does slide out just a tiny bit. It reminds me a little bit of the Jordan 31. You guys remember the Jordan 31? But also another shoe that does that a lot is the Fresh Foam BB V2, which I've been playing in as well. I've been testing them side to side. So yeah, the Fresh Foam BB does go forward a lot. Lateral stops are really good in that shoe. But anyways, why am I talking about that? The Fission 9, it does that a little bit, but not as much as the Fresh Foam BB V2 and also the Jordan 31, right? So it just slides out just a tiny bit going forward, but going sideways, oh my goodness, you're gonna be good to go. It just instantly stops. It has a really good bite, especially if you're playing on a clean court. If you're playing on a dusty court, it does pick up a little bit of dust, right? And it is a little bit dangerous, right? So if it does pick up a good amount of dust and you don't wipe, I did find myself sliding out kind of dangerously. It wasn't terrible, right? And I didn't, of course, like hurt myself, but I found myself kind of like trying to be careful a little bit if I was playing on a dusty court, which kind of sucks. You know what I mean? When I'm playing basketball, I kind of don't want to worry about my shoe. I just want to, focus on playing ball, you know? So that's kind of something that I did notice. So if you are playing on a dusty court, just be careful with that. But of course, if you do keep up with your wipes, you should be fine. Like, it definitely wasn't terrible if I did keep up with my wipes, and it's a very easy and slight wipe. So you should be fine most of the time. Just be careful if you're playing on a super dusty court. And also, if you're playing on an outdoor court, you should be fine. This shoe is made for outdoor use. You know what I mean? So you have really deep grooves. You got pretty dang hard rubber. You got a lot of surface area. You know what I mean? The grooves are super deep. So you should be fine on an outdoor court. So overall, the traction is really good. I enjoyed playing this shoe, especially when it was raining. It was very humid. I had a really good time playing this shoe. It's just, it kind of sucked when I was playing on a super dusty court, right? But again, it wasn't terrible. And also, another thing about the shoe is that it's super duper freaking loud and squeaky, which I do like. It has it's a screaming squeak, you know what I mean? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, very smooth. So here in the heel, we got a very nice rounded shape, and we have pretty much a fully exposed midsole, and it's this light foam plus, and it has a lot of compression. So here in the heel, it's very nice, super smooth. It feels great. And then moving here into the forefoot, we have a really nice curve shape as well. So because of this shape, feels extremely smooth. It's very smooth here in the heel because of the exposed midsole and a lot of compression. And then also here in the forefoot, we have a lot of forefoot flex, and also it is pretty springy. You know what I mean? Like, it has that nice springiness to it. And of course, it's not as springy as, like, you know, the GT Cut 3 is really springy. Same thing with the Wild 10. The Wild 10 has like a full length carbon fiber plate, so it does feel like bouncy almost, even, you know what I mean? But with this, it still has a nice rebound back, which I do like, but also it's able to flex, which makes it feel really smooth. So very smooth. And then once you kind of bend it, kind of propels you forward just a tiny bit, which makes the heel to toe transition feel really smooth. So when you're running down the court or kind of coming out of the first step, this shoe feels really great. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So also the cushioning setup, like I mentioned before, this is an outdoor shoe, and if you're playing on an outdoor court, you want to prioritize impact protection, of course, right? And this shoe has got you covered. So first of all, the court feel isn't great. You know what I mean? I would say it's a little bit higher up than average. It's not terrible, however, so I didn't really mind it all too much. Like once I started playing in this shoe for like a game or two, I definitely got used to the cushioning setup. Of course, you know, comparing it to like other shoes that have really good court feel, you know what I mean? Like the AE ones, I definitely noticed, you know, coming from the AE1 and going into the Fission 9 and then going back into the AE1, I was like, oh, you know, it's kind of high up off the ground, but it makes sense, you know what I mean? And if you want a good amount of cushion, this shoe is really nice, you know what I mean? So first of all, like I mentioned before, we got Light Foam Plus. And Light Foam Plus is really soft. You press it with your finger, there's a lot of compression. It's nice. And then here in the heel, we have a good amount of compression as well. So it feels great, especially if you're doing heel strikes. You're covered for impact protection. Also, we have a 3/4 boom. Because of that, we have pretty good step and comfort, right? So as far as the insole goes, the insole's actually pretty nice as well. We have a little bit of padding, which does improve the step and comfort, but also we have a soft mesh strobo board, which I love. I love how Wade does that. You know what I mean? I wish Nike would do that, Adidas, you know, I guess Adidas has been doing it a little bit, but you know, Under Armour, especially Puma too, you know, but anyways, you know, you can feel the foam right underneath your foot. There's a lot of compression and it's really, really soft right underneath your foot, right? So underfoot cushion is amazing as well. Impact protection overall is great. It's soft, it's comfortable. Of course, the only thing that's not great about it is the core feel, but like I said, it wasn't a huge issue for me. So overall, the cushioning setup is super nice, especially for only 120 bucks. You know what I mean? Like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour for 120 bucks, they give us pretty crappy cushion. You know what I mean? I guess Nike hasn't been lacking all too much. And also, I guess Adidas, in some shoes, you know what I mean? Some shoes not that nice, but also some shoes are pretty nice. But usually for Chinese companies, their cushioning setups are really, really nice, especially for the tech and for the price, you know? So anyways, there's that. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is also pretty dang nice for the price, you know what I mean? We got this kind of like polyester material, but then it's like these strands woven together. So it's kind of like a knit to me, you know what I mean? Like a textile knit. And it's really supportive, right? It doesn't stretch at all, you know? It kind of reminds you of like a ballistic nylon a little bit, you know? It feels great on foot, it's comfortable, it conforms to your foot extremely well while feeling really supportive. And we have a little bit of fuse here at the tip of the toe for extra durability and support. And then here also on the lateral side. So it feels really nice here in the toe box. And then covering the eyelets, we have like this plastic material, which does stiffen up the material a little bit, adding for a little bit more support. And also we have fly wire, which makes no sense putting it here. Like, I love how, you know, the laces go through it, you know what I mean? It goes through the actual upper, but also goes through the fly wire. But then, yeah, fly wire is Nike, but I feel like everyone just calls it fly wire, right? But yeah, it does come a little bit lower comparing it to the actual eyelet. So when you do pull on it, it does pull on the actual wire and give tension to it. But like I said, you don't really need support here. Usually there's an internal TPU heel counter, which this shoe does have. And why do you need support here? You know what I mean? You need more support like in the forefoot, you know what I mean? It makes more sense to add it here. But anyways, there's that. As far as the tongue goes, we have zero padding, like very minimal padding. I guess like here on top, there's a little bit of padding, but it's pretty much not that much padding, you know? And it's also kind of like it's interesting. It's like a half booty construction tongue a little bit, but as you guys can see, it kind of like just folds in on itself. And it's like a flap tongue. It kind of reminds me of the LeBron 16, if you guys remember that, right? And also here in the ankle area, we have pretty minimal padding as well. So yeah, for 120 bucks, I really like this material. It feels great. And it checks off everything that I want from an upper from my hoop shoes, right? So, you know, it's thin, it's supportive, it conforms to my foot very well, and that's it. You know what I mean? I guess one thing that I would want a little bit more is, you know, a little bit more padding in the tongue. But again, for 120 bucks, it's a really great material. And now moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size and this shoe fits me extremely well, right? So there is a little bit of length, but I feel like if I went true to size, it would be very, very snug, right? So here in the toe box, it's a really snug fit, right? And even though I did play in it and break it in, this kind of material doesn't stretch out. So the toe box doesn't get roomier that much. So yeah, it's pretty much the same exact fit from when I first got it, and it's a very snug fit. Also width-wise, I would say it's around normal to slightly narrow. This part is kind of squeezing the side of my foot just a tiny bit. Of course, it's not uncomfortable or anything. It's just I like a snug fit width-wise. So if you don't like that, of course, just be careful with that. But I feel like most people, you should be fine going up half a size, right? If you want kind of like a pretty snug fit, but not super snug, then you should be fine going up half a size. But if you want a pretty dang snug fit, I'll go true to size. But of course, be careful with that. Also here in the midfoot, it does get a little narrower as well. Especially in my arch, I definitely felt this kind of squeezing my midfoot a little bit as well, you know? So just be careful with that too. But overall, it's a really nice fit for me going up half a size. Alright, now moving on to the support and lockdown. I mean, for lateral containment, you're good to go. Look at all of these lateral counters, you know? So here in the forefoot, we literally have all this rubber coming up acting as the sidewall. Also, like I mentioned before, we have this material which is super supportive. It feels like it exposes a little bit of the boom here, which is pretty cool. We also have the Pro Bar lock, which is basically a midfoot chain plate. But yeah, you're covered here in the forefoot. Here in the heel, the foam comes up acting as sidewall, and I guess we have whatever this is, but there isn't a very prominent, very stiff internal TPU heel counter, feels like. So lateral containment, I was good to go, and lateral stability is really good too. You know, we do have a little bit of an outrigger right here. It is a wide base here in the forefoot, so lateral stability was good for me, and I had zero issues with heel slippage or anything like that. Once I tightened the laces, my foot felt locked into the shoe, which I really liked as well. So support and lockdown, I had zero issues, and even if you're a bigger dude, you should be fine in the Fission 9. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. So this shoe is it's like around average, a little bit heavier than average. That's what it feels like to me. And yeah, 12.65 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.75 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces, so that's pretty much average weight. And yeah, this shoe feels extremely responsive when you're playing on a clean court, right? When I was playing on a clean court, I felt really quick, and I didn't have to worry about the shoe really at all. Although I did feel a little bit high up off the ground, the cushion is really comfortable, right? So of course, for me, it's not the best because what I prefer is a lower to the ground feel, but still, like I said, it's not super unresponsive. It still felt pretty dang quick to me. It's just not as responsive as, like, you know, the AE1, you know, something that it feels a little bit lower to the ground and is a little bit more responsive. But of course, that's not what it's targeted towards. It's more targeted towards outdoor use, impact protection, which of course that makes sense. And like I said, when I was playing on a clean court, I felt very quick. Also, when I was playing on a dusty court, I felt quick as well, but I just had to worry about sliding out a little bit sometimes, right? So there's that. Moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is not the greatest. You know, we do have some ventilation holes kind of through the tongue, but there is an underlaying material, and then through this kind of like textile mesh, there's not really any airflow. So it is on the warmer side of things because of the lackluster airflow, but it's not super duper hot because there's not a whole lot of padding or anything, you know what I mean? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics, it looks great. I feel like it's a great looking shoe, and the design, I mean, I feel like most Wade shoes look great. The Fission 8, wasn't a huge fan of it, but the Fission 9, I definitely feel like looks pretty dang cool. One thing I don't like though is the kind of like compression marks in the actual Light Foam Plus, but anyways, there's that. So wrapping things up, yeah, the Fission 9 is a really nice performer. It's a solid shoe. For 120 bucks, you get really good cushion, which of course is something that a lot of companies, like the companies we know, like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, they kind of cut back on, you know, for cheaper shoes. But in this shoe, the Fission 9, you get really nice cushion. It makes sense because it is used for outdoor courts, but also it's really nice for indoor courts as well. So yeah, the cushion's nice, especially for the price. Traction's really good, especially if you're playing on a clean court. Support's great, and I feel like most people will enjoy playing this shoe. Of course, it's not the greatest for guards, right? If you're a guard and you want a really low to the ground feel, this is not the best, but I still feel like you can still feel really quick in this shoe. And also, it's a really nice shoe for bigger dudes, right? Support's great, cushion's really nice. And also, it's not super bulky, it's not super heavy or anything like that. So yeah, it's a really nice shoe, and I definitely do recommend it to you guys. But there are some things that I wish would be a little bit better, of course, like the traction on dust, you know. But anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Wade Fission 9. Again, if you guys want to cop a try, leave the link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.